Authenticity is real. I did over 200 interviews for the second book. And if you want to get the essence of what people are talking about when they are talking about an authentic person, there are 7 elements. The first one is positivity. Positivity. When you think about an authentic person, this is a person who typically makes you feel good about yourself. If that person doesn't need to be perfect, it means that they don't have a problem then letting you help. The problem with perfectionism is that the message that you send to people is that your help is optional. And the one thing that people love about an authentic person, particularly if they are a leader, is that their title or their rank or their role doesn't get in the way of them being able to tap the experience and the perspective of other people. When you're going through imposter syndrome, it's hard to ask other people to help you because you think of that as a sign of weakness as opposed to a positive thing. Are you positive enough? Do you affirm people? There's a human need to be needed. So do you affirm people for coming through the door each day and wanting to make a big difference in the work that they do? Sometimes we get overly focused on the negative, where we're just finding errors and mistakes and finding fault. And before you know it, when you walk towards people, if you are a team leader, they begin to close off. They begin to put a protective shield up because all they associate you with is sort of negativity. So this notion of positivity is just affirming people and fueling people. When I did interviews with people about what they considered to be the traits of an authentic person, this one came up time and time again. This is a person who just makes me feel good about myself. This is a person who affirms the fact that I come through the door each day wanting to make a difference and that I can do so. So this positivity, do you fuel people when it matters the most? Are you real? Are you real? Are you consistent? That's really what this is about. Are you the same person over here as you are over here as you are over here? We don't like incongruence in people. And in these interviews, when I'm asking people to delineate what they consider to be the traits of an authentic person, this one came up quite often. And that is a person who just is real. They don't have to use 18-letter words, and the higher you get in rank, the more important you have to sound. And a good friend of mine, he's a senior executive, and he told me that he was giving a speech. This was a few months ago, and he was giving a speech on the company vision, and he was up on stage, and he was using words that he didn't even, are you connecting with people in terms of what's real? Or do people need a decoder to figure you out? So authentic people just bring it, and they bring it in a consistent and a genuine way. Do you have edge? This really stands out for folks. Do you have edge, that ability to stand out and bring it? Sometimes that edge is aesthetic in terms of you can actually see it, so a person who is just particularly colorful. But you can be the most introverted person on the team, but when it matters, do you actually bring it? Do people know where your lines in the sand are, where you are likely to hold firm around something that you really believe in? It is quite compelling for people when you bring it. When you stand out, it actually encourages other people to be able to do the same. Vulnerability, the number one component that came up in the interviews there. That notion of, am I okay with taking risk? Do I have to be perfect? Can I take myself out of my comfort zone? Can I stretch myself? If you're going to ask your team to stretch themselves, then you've got to be willing to do the same thing. So this idea of not having to be perfect, not always having to be right, not always having to be the definitive last voice on everything, but again, letting people help you. You're more likely to enhance connection with other people by needing them. You've got to have a good, healthy relationship with vulnerability. That image there depicts what it's like when two people are connected, and that is that we don't have to be threatened by each other's titles or experience, but that there is this idea around energy, the idea that I am really building something with someone else. Leaders put pressure on themselves to be the answer man or woman. Do you let people help you think? Do you invite your peers in? Toss perspective around. Give people an opportunity to help you be successful, which is really the sort of the critical defining criteria around vulnerability. There is this notion around integrity. I don't need to make a case. I typically don't have to make a big case for integrity in an audience like with you folks here. I lived a good deal of my life as two different people. I was one person over here and one person over here. That lack of congruence is unhealthy. So the idea that a whole person, as a whole person, you're integrated, and people really value that notion of integrity. And then connections, the sense of connectivity. People are inspired by your edge. They're inspired by your vulnerability, by your ability to connect with others. And there's something about your energy that just brings people together. That's what really people talk about when they talk about an authentic person. I call these the spark plugs, if you will, around your own leadership. Your leadership is never done. It's always a matter of building capability. So I take a proactive and purposeful look at leadership and the fact that you want to just every now and then just take a look at and be mindful of those things that enhance connection. You only get one shot at life, folks. And you don't want to end up on the other end of your life wondering or trying to imagine how things might have been different had you brought your perspective sooner and in a bolder way. So I want to end right here by basically saying, be yourself, bring yourself. You only get one shot at this life, and make a big difference when you can. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here with you today.